What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Gunther Show. Thank y'all so much for watching. As always, like and share this video. I would greatly appreciate it. Our special guest today, he is a legend for the culture. He is the guy that we all gonna be hearing from really soon with the OG Network. He also was one of the main people from No Limit Records. Y'all remember the thing with Master P, where this man was right there next to him. Without any further ado, the Gunther Show welcomes Big Court. What's going on with you, brother?
What's going on, brother? I appreciate you having me, man. Shout out, man. Much respect. I appreciate it.
I appreciate what you're doing for the culture, man. The OG Network is a brand new streaming platform. What you go ahead and share with us a little bit about it?
Yeah, man. The OG Network, I have found myself being in the space of a tech founder. OG Network is a free global streaming network similar to Tubi. It's AVOD, which, it's ads, it's not subscription based. Of course, I'm the founder along with my co-founder, Ice-T. And, I think it was just time for the culture to own some of the infrastructure. We make everything cool, man. The culture, hip hop. We're a driving force economically with a lot of these platforms, a lot of the content. And so, I was motivated to do this mainly because I saw what Tubi did, and shout out to Tubi. I love Tubi, but what I saw them do was similar to UPN, the CW network, what I like to call the gentrification of content. So basically they use the lower budget, the African-American content, build up the database, build up the valuation, and then move the goalpost. So, me obviously being with No Limit for 30 years and learning from Master P, and as we say, graduating from the school of No Limit, No Limit University. P always taught us to, identify, to create a good business is to identify a problem and solve it. So I took it a step further and said, well, let's identify a problem and own the solution. You know what I'm saying? So that's where we came in with OG Network. And again, we're advocate for up and coming filmmakers, content creators. And again, I don't want to confuse the narrative. Like we just aren't, it's not about Black. It's not about that, right? It's about inclusion. So yes, we're for the culture, we're of the culture, but this is about inclusion. This is everybody, so we want everybody to come to the OG Network. So, we have over 500 titles. We have an ingestion of another 1,000 titles coming. So yeah, we just want to be an advocate for, the guys that's getting it out the mud.
Getting it out the mud is something that we in the Black culture are very familiar with because
Yes.
that is how a lot of us came about. We had to get a lot of our things out the mud. But
Mm-hmm.
look what comes from that. It is gritty and it makes you appreciate things a whole lot more. You were blessed to work with one of the greatest producers of all time. He is somebody that is synonymous with hip hop culture who was on
Mm-hmm.
public record saying that you were in his top five. How did that feel to get that type of accolade or to hear it from somebody who was so accomplished like Master P?
That's something that he shares with me personally, and of course, me being an only child and me knowing P for over 30 years and him being, the big brother I never had. So it's always fulfilling to when people have deposited and have spent time with you and demonstrated things to you to see that their efforts didn't go to waste. You know what I mean? So yeah, that was very dope of him to acknowledge me in that way and acknowledge that me and Snoop Dogg and Big Boz, we were able to learn something, through our tenure with No Limit. As I still work with P and being able to take that and build and expand on that and go even bigger. You know what I mean? So, I believe what we did at No Limit was amazing,
Mm-hmm.
but just kind of forward thinking, the OG Network, that's a whole different level. That's a whole different animal, So, it just shows the lineage of that No Limit brand. And these are the branches. I'm a branch that came off of that. So yeah, it was dope for Peter to acknowledge that, so I appreciated it.
The OG Network has an OG working right next to you, Ice T. How did that relationship come about?
Yeah, me and Ice met some years ago. The thing about it with Ice is, we really started, rocking and building when he came and did the Holdin Court podcast the first time. And we're just kindred spirits. I grew up on Ice T. A lot of my understanding from the streets to business were things that I learned through his music, vicariously through his music. And to be able to, you fast forward as a kid, I'm 12 years old listening to Power and listening to Colors and Rhyme Pays and all of that. And fast forward to where I'm actually in business with Ice. And I came up with doing the OG network a few years ago, and I prayed on it, because I knew I wanted a partner, for specific reasons. And I prayed on it, and God just tapped me on the shoulder one day, was like, holler at Ice. And so, I hit up Ice, and he was like, hey man, I love to be in business with you. It's a dope idea, it's a dope concept. I believe you can pull it off. And listen, we've been rocking ever since then. And Ice is amazing. He's an amazing friend, mentor, but and an incredible business partner, very wise as well. So, I am fortunate to have, some of the best OGs, you know what I mean, and be able to, learn and take cues from some of the best in the game. So, I can say, obviously, through my own experiences as well, I'm a product of that. So yeah, what you're seeing with OG Network is my vision, you know what I mean? And again, Ice riding shotgun, backing up the plays I make. So yeah, it's an amazing feeling to be in business with someone that you admired growing up.
Having the OGs in your back pocket is so cool. And having
Mm-hmm.
them right next to you when you are getting ready to do something is even cooler. The
Yeah.
Holding Court podcast airs on Revolt TV, which is one of the biggest platforms for Black creatives in the entire world. And your platform, OG Network, will be something that a lot of Black creatives want to tap into. What
Yes.
is the best piece of advice that you would give to those creatives looking to get on networks?
Um, I would say, well, that's a great question. Um, my thing is, you just have to find your people, right? You find your audience, you super serve that niche. Um, I, I think it's really about the content, and I think the important part to acknowledge, like with Tubi and all these other platforms, they have thousands of titles. So you can kind of get lost in in the haystack with that. Whereas with OG Network, we're of the culture, right? So with us, I think it's better because you can kind of have a level of undivided attention. We're in the culture, we understand it. So my advice would be just to be consistent. Be consistent with it wherever you go, right? Be consistent with your product, be consistent with your content. A lot of people think that you have to have everything figured out, you have to have everything perfect just to start. And that's just not true. You just have to start at some point and be consistent with that and, make the necessary adjustments. Part of a lot of, as they say, putting in the work is making the necessary adjustments and necessary changes. So you have to be pliable. New information is always coming in. So as I like to say, you can be stubborn with your goals, but you have to be flexible with your methods. So I think just be open to the new information, open to change. And, for all of those content creators that are out there, OG Network might be a great fit for you. Again, we're global. We're distributed to 180 countries. We have partnerships. We have a lot of things going. We have the social currency between Ice and I to really, back this play. So yeah, be consistent and believe in what you're doing and operate with integrity. That would be my main advice.
You had hit on something that was very powerful. You had said it's cool to be stubborn with your goals, but you also have to know there are certain things you got to do. You are a native of Kansas City. And
Mm-hmm.
even though I didn't grow up out there, I know some people who have. They mentioned to me that it's kind of a rough environment, but you were
Mm-hmm.
able to do something, which is called survive it. Not only did you
Yes.
survive it, but you've made pivots in your life to position you for success. what have been some of the pivots you had to make to position you for success?
Oh my God. I've pivoted so many times in my life. You have to, each level of life is going to each level that you reach is going to require a different version of yourself. You know what I mean? So, I was in jail at 15 years old. I had my first child at 16 years old. So once I figured that, okay, the streets, okay, I get that. Oh, that's that other part. You got to be locked up. Y'all don't like that a lot. So I had to pivot then. And that's where I pivoted to, doing music. I started as an artist. Okay. I did the artist thing. I was with No Limit in 1995. Okay. Do the music thing, early 2000s. Okay. I'm seeing success in other arenas of business. I got into real estate. I got into, production and acting, pivoted again. That I had a stint where I was a model. I modeled for Tom Ford for a year in the early 2000s. Then again, new information comes in, and then I think being able to grow. I think just innately, if you just allow yourself to grow. You can't grow in comfort. I always push myself. I always knew that, okay, this is one step to the next step. Even when I started the Holdin Court Podcast, I intentionally started that with the goal in mind that, okay, I'm going to take this as a stepping stone toward media executive. Now, I can't sit here and lie and say I knew it was going to be OG Network, but I knew that that was a stepping stone toward where I wanted to go. So yeah, pivoting, you have to, man. You absolutely have to. You live life long enough, it'll teach you how to live. And so at this juncture, at this age, I'm probably going to pivot a few more times. So to be able to pivot is very, very important. Like I say, people always, a lot of these youngsters and people in the culture, they always talk about chasing the bag. Everybody want to be a millionaire, but they don't realize that you have to first become that person. These things don't fall in your lap. These opportunities don't fall in your lap. You have to first, because we attract what we think about. So you have to first become that person and then attract those things. And so just like when you get money, right? That's, I don't, as P says, I don't pray for money, I pray for wisdom. Because you can give someone $1 million and they be broke in 6 months. So you have to become that person first to be successful. Then you have to pivot again and become another person to be able to maintain that success. So it's a constant flow of being pliable. And certain things become a standard and they become a mainstay. But for the most part, you're always kind of morphing.
The OG network will be something that is around and people are gonna
Mhm.
want to see how can they be a part of it. The
Yes.
things that are already on the network, you have great podcasts, you have great content. Why don't you go ahead and share with us exactly what's already on there?
Oh man, we already have over 500 titles. We have horror movies. We have Christmas movies, because of where we are now. We have thrillers. We have dramas. We have black exploitation movies, old school, because our thing with OG Network is classic material. I have all the Master P's and No Limit stuff on there. So we have an array of things for everybody. We have sports on there. We have UFC, fighting, wrestling. We had whatever it is, we have stuff for the ladies on there. So again, it's about inclusion, But one of our main shows, original shows that we have, our tempo show, is a show with me and Lazy Bone from Bone Thugs and Harmony. We have a weekly hip hop debate show called Somebody Had to Say It, which is super dope. We just released our first episode, and they going up on social media. People are downloading the app just to get that. We also have one of our main movies that just debuted. It's #1 on OG Network right now, called My Sharia Moore. It's a thriller. It was filmed and casted in Kansas City, Missouri, my hometown. Super dope movie, extremely good movie called My Sharia Moore. So we have that. We have another documentary that just debuted today. Ice-T narrated it, executive produced it, called Put the Guns Down. Which explores the gun violence epidemic across the country, but mainly in Los Angeles. We have another reality show called Love and Basketball. It's about former female college basketball players. So it's kind of our, I'm not going to say baddies, but it's
Mm-hmm.
our that type of stuff for the ladies, right? So we have 8 episodes on there. So we have Torre. We have shout out to Torre. We have
The
his show.
legend.
Yeah, we got Torre's show on our network. And of course, Holdin Court Podcast is will be there exclusively starting in January. So yeah, man, we have just great content all around. We have so many titles, and as I said before, we getting an ingestion of another 1,000 titles. So yeah, and listen, content creators, man, reach out to us. Again, we're accepting finished products, no synopsises, no scripts or nothing like that, but any finished content, they can hit us up at content at the ognetwork.net.
I feel like you just read my question because I was actually what I was gonna ask next, but it's all good. A brother got to make a pivot. That's what I'm
That's
here
right.
for. Before we
Yeah.
go ahead and jump up out of here, what
Hmm.
would be something this time of year?
Hmm.
Here we are in December. We're
Hmm.
finally at the end of 2025. It's been
Hmm.
filled with ups and downs, but we're still here. What would be something that you would love for the folks that are going to see this, particularly those of us that are in content creation and media and things of that nature? What is something that you really are looking forward to seeing what happens with us in 26?
The content creators in
Yes, sir.
particular.
Yes, sir.
Um, Man, I want to see content creators win, man. I believe that these platforms play games, these algorithms, I want to, because there's a lot of time that goes in. People think that it's just as simple as setting up a camera and talking in front of it. And sure, you have some people that just do that. But for those that are really, really building brands and are consistent and passionate about it, there's a lot of work that goes into it. And in essence, we're all our own TV stations, right? We're all our own networks and channels or whatnot. So, I just hope that, the content creators do not get um disenchanted. They don't get frustrated with dealing with the algorithms of some of these other platforms, which was the other reason why I created OG Network, is because I'm so sick of algorithms. You know what I mean? Like, you can have 300,000 subscribers, followers, or whatever the case may be, and none of them ever see your content.
That's
You
right.
know, I wanted to figure out a way to mitigate that. So as you're dealing with a fast channel, which is what OG Network is, and an OTT platform, which is VOD, you don't have to worry about being seen, right? Or if somebody is going to show your stuff, it's there. You know what I mean? So all of our users, when they download it, they see it. They can go right to it. So that was my way of mitigating that. So I think the content creators should educate themselves, educate yourself to the marketplace, the changes. There's always changes, and find yourself a home, find your community, super serve your community, and you can do that at OG Network. We can build together because again, we're about the culture, and again, we're all inclusive. So it's not just about hip hop, it's not just about Black people, but at the same time, we're going to make sure that our people are straight as well, along with everyone else.
The culture is better when we are united and not divided. And we
Yeah.
thank you so much for your time today. Before we jump out of here, if anybody wanted to connect with you and also learn more about OG Network, how can they do that?
Yeah, you can follow me at I am Big Court on IG. You can follow OG Network Live on IG, and you can also go to our website, sign up, theognetwork.net, and you can leave your email. You get all the updates, you get all the alerts when we have new content coming in. You get the newsletter and everything. Download the OG Network on Fire TV, Google Play, Roku, and iOS, Apple Mobile. We'll be on Apple TV and Android TV in January. So yeah, tap in with us.
This has been an amazing conversation, and I'm gonna reveal something with this interview. This helps me reach another milestone because this is now my third year of getting a celeb to hop to chop it up with me every month of the year for 3 straight years. So OG, Appreciate
Yeah.
you, Big Court, for your contributions
Congratulations.
to my
Yeah.
platform today. I'm gonna go ahead and put this out there. I'm a basketball player, shooter, shoot. Y'all need somebody else as a contributor. Holla at your boy, man. Let's see what we can do in 26. That's all I'm gonna say.
All good. I appreciate you, man. Congratulations too.
Thank you, man. Ladies and gentlemen, Big Court on the Chris Gunther Show. Be sure that y'all check him out on the OG Network. Peace and love, King. God bless.